Your Town Matters is funded by the Government of Canada through the Local Journalism Initiative and supported by Cactus Media, Canada's independent community television association.
I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Your Town Matters. My guest today is the Mayor of St. Andrews, Brad Henderson. Thanks for being here today, Brad.
Excited to be back.
Let's start off by talking about an issue that's been in the last couple council meetings. It's about repealing a skateboarding ban downtown that includes scooters and inline skating. I'm going to not say rollerblading, whatever.
Yeah, I said rollerblading at council and I showed my age. So we can call it rollerblading.
Okay, fair enough. So what is happening now and what are the next steps towards whether this is repealed or whether the bylaw stays in place that we have now?
So it was that council meeting that you're referring to, it was probably our second or third conversation we've had about it. It was brought forward by Councillor Gumashell, and Councillor Gumashell is a big believer in active transportation, alternative means outside of using your car or truck. He likes things like biking, but he also on the previous council tried to bring forward to repeal this bylaw, which basically prohibits at the end of the day the downtown historic business district along Water Street, the sidewalks. A rule was brought in a number of years ago, probably 3 or 4 councils removed, that basically said that you cannot rollerblade or inline skate. You cannot use scooters, which, just to clarify, is not the ones that you'd use for mobility, that you have like the powered ones. This is the ones that you push with your foot, and then of course skateboarding as well. The reason it was implemented in the first place was there was a number of collisions in the downtown. Nothing documented that I can say that what the extent of the injuries were, but there was a number of complaints that were happening to town hall of people getting run into by people using one or more of these means. The police officer that still lives in the community today say that before that bylaw was enacted, there was no way to minimize or stop it from happening. So the council of the day made the decision to enact this for public safety. Where that's gone now is I could see a lot of views over it. When the sidewalks are full, July and August, and somebody's on a skateboard or someone is on one of these alternative lines, the braking system is not as good as even a bicycle. Because I've heard that, why not bicycles? The braking systems aren't as good. But on the other side of it is there's bad drivers out there. A pedestrian could be hit by a car. So if that happens, do we ban all cars? And the other thing too is you're painting a whole user group that use these as a mode of transportation and recreation. You're painting them all under the same brush to say that all of them are not being safe, not going slow, not being respectful. So I see that side of it. It kind of feels a little bit like Footloose, no dancing. So I kind of see that. But again, on the other side of it too, it's weighing up public safety. So council is divided. I think it's very close. For all I know, it's probably 3-3. The last council meeting, what we talked about is there, a compromise. So Councillor Hurdle proposed, what if we just put it more in the shoulder seasons and saw what it looked like if there was a concern before we do like peak July, August.
Right.
If you think about a lot of your shoulder seasons, you'd have maybe a couple months, but you don't really want to skateboard in January, right? That's more of a summer activity. So again, right line of thinking. Myself, I proposed if what if we could allow it just to be on Water Street, it's one way and not on the sidewalks. Maybe there's a way where everybody feels safe, but they can use it. It is important to note that skateboarders and inline skates and scooters can go down any side road and come down to the downtown, and they're within a 30-second walk of wherever they want to go. So where this nets out, I don't know. I can tell you that we've got a lot of letters, both for and against. And the only reason people are against, it's not that they're against the activity, it's the concern of public safety. So I see it both ways, and for all I know, I might be the split vote. But right now, as mayor and the spokesperson of council, I'll just say I see it both ways.
Right, and there was a survey that went out to residents. I know I got it, and it's a good reminder to people at home to sign up. If you haven't signed up already to the town newsletter, the e-newsletter, because you're able to partake in things like the survey. Are you getting a lot of feedback from it?
We've had really good feedback, and we can talk maybe about childcare later. It's such an effective tool. When we put a survey out, we get about 400 respondents in a community of 2,000 people. That's a pretty good mix of what you're going to see. Keep in mind that usually if you're against something, you're more likely to respond than if you just have no problem with it. If you don't really have an opinion on it, you're not for or against, you may not. So you got to be aware that usually the people that have the biggest objections might respond, but it's still, it gives you a pretty good indication of how many people are opposed to something in the community. So far the feedback's been good. I actually think that I saw the Chamber of Commerce also sent it out to the businesses on the skateboarding bylaw, we'll call it, to get the opinion on shop owners. I think if it was used for transportation is one thing. It was used for tricks in the downtown, say outside the post office.
Right.
I could see the level of concern that businesses would have if it was in front of their business consistently and constantly. And the other thing I'll just add on that I should have added in is when they brought in this bylaw, it's also when they built the skateboard park by the youth center. So youth will have some place they can go to do their tricks. So again, we'll see where that all folds out. But we didn't go forward with first reading simply the fact that if we voted against repealing it, it means that it's shut down for 6 months. By taking it back, tabling it, it gives us a month to give another look at it with maybe hopefully a compromise.
And if I remember correct from last council meeting, there's parts of it that are being rewritten to address it next time.
Correct. So staff's taking it back and they're going to present what a bylaw that looks more like a compromise is, and council can go line by line on it. It's amazing when you have a council meeting which motions have the most debate and the most length of time. That particular council meeting, by far, that was one of our longest debates. So it's good to make people aware it's something considering. I think it's a worthwhile conversation either way, whatever way it comes out at it. Bylaws like that, sometimes there's bylaws that are dated, sometimes they're there for good reason. So we'll see where this one nets out.
And on the topic of Water Street, we're entering, and it feels like it. We have a cruise ship come in already. The summer season is really kicking off with Paddle Fest this month as well. One-way street. What is happening this summer for people who might not be in the know yet in terms of what the plans are for traffic in the downtown area? Yeah,
so starting May 16th, what's going to happen is it's going to turn back to a one-way street. Again, we talked about the surveys. That's another survey we did with the public, and an overwhelming response thought that we got it right last year. Obviously, 2 years ago, it was very divisive, but an overwhelming majority appreciate the one-way street. You give the example of a truck that's doing a delivery, saying dropping kegs off to a restaurant. Because of the limited parking, they park right in the lane. By having a 2-lane, it's a safe way to get around. People appreciate it. Traffic flow was better, so even the businesses appreciate it. So it was a no-brainer. The nautical theme that we kind of had with the barriers and things like that were a lot more receptive than the metal ones. So I guess to compare it for people what they can expect, pretty much the exact same as last year because it worked. There's some minor adjustments of things that we're doing, but nothing major. I see the signs are already up right now, so May 16th will be effective. They'll take the black covers off the signs for the one way, and we'll see how it goes. But so far so good, but same as last year.
And I noticed that the hand sanitizer all throughout different stations downtown is already out, so you're preparing for COVID-19 safety as well.
It is. So COVID-19, this, knock on wood, I just heard that the Fredericton Craft Beer Festival got canceled due to impacts of COVID. Not sure if you heard that yet. That was just announced. So I'm not aware that event planning can't change, but right now the plan is to bring things back to the way that they were pre-pandemic, where we have the festivals and events that everybody loves, people can gather and attend, but it doesn't mean that there isn't proper things that you can do. Obviously, the hand sanitizing stations greatly encouraged. If you aren't comfortable, wear a mask, right? You may not have to, but it's really everyone's comfort level. I think everyone would agree that the main thing is just respect everybody's choice. If someone wears a mask, good for them. If someone decides not to wear a mask, good for them. We're at that point where everybody should just do what they're comfortable with. And again, if you're not comfortable with the operational plan of a festival or event, you always have the option of not being there too. So, but I'm really excited for it. I think that as we talk about life and what makes St. Andrews such a special place, our events make this a wonderful, it's a beautiful town, but the events are what makes it vibrant. And I don't know about you, but I have my calendar all out of all these weekends that I'm looking forward to. They're going to be busy, but it just makes it a special place to live. So let's hope that everything goes as planned, and that the pandemic continues to be at least in the status. It's not over, but at least no new variant comes that really increases the hospitalizations or anything like that.
Numbers are going down, and obviously with summer it keeps a lot of activities outside, which helps keep spread down too. True. So, and on that note, I'd love to talk about Elizabeth Park. It's corner of Water Street and Elizabeth. Some people have asked, why is it called Elizabeth Park? I'm like, well, yeah. Pretty simple. I had dinner there last night. I live across the street, so I just thought, why not walk across the street and have the best view in town. But the town has gone so far as to put beautiful umbrellas up, and it feels like you're at a 5-star resort and you're in a public park. So what was the initiative behind that, and what made the town decide to do it at this point in time?
So the town had great vision, and it was a council again before, few councils removed. They decided that they would preserve the street end. So as you have a community that's growing, and St. Andrews is growing, people in communities tend to creep into green space and take it away, but the council today said the end of each street end, as you're looking down towards the water, we should always preserve that. We should not ever sell it. So that way, if you're in St. Andrews by the sea and driving down, that you have great glimpses of the sea. It makes a lot of sense. So with that being said, they've just kind of sat there. They're almost like vacant lots. Some of them are like just, there's a bit of tall grass. There's an opportunity to protect those views, but also to make it usable public space. So it was a partnership that the previous council that I was deputy mayor on entered in with the Dunn Foundation to create that little pocket park to have more green space for people to do exactly what you did, sit down, have a picnic. There's limited picnic tables in downtown. Market Day, I don't know if you've ever tried to eat outside. Sometimes it's a rush to try to find a picnic table. So to have more of those great spaces where people can enjoy the outdoors makes a lot of sense. And I've got to give full credit to Terry Acton, Nathan McMillan, the whole Public Works crew. I know that I believe Levitt's helped out a little bit with some landscaping, but they hit a home run with that. It's a beautiful use of space, and it makes our downtown more special, more vibrant. It already won Canada's Great Street a few years ago. I think it just adds more to it. So it's like our murals downtown. They're things you don't see in other communities that make it a beautiful and great place to live.
Yeah, it was really, I know people must have been wondering where I was going, carrying a dinner plate and had my slippers on. We just walked right across the street, but it was absolutely fabulous. So
yeah, well, the weather's certainly turning around now, so it's a great time to use that space, and it's still relatively a hidden gem. Not a lot of people actually really know what's down there, so it is a great space to picnic. And we did name it just Elizabeth, simply the fact that we talked about giving naming rights, but just for the public to say which park, it's just too confusing. It makes sense to name it after the street it's at the bottom of.
Okay, and let's talk about another famous Elizabeth, because we do have the Queen's Platinum Jubilee coming up. This is starting June 2nd, so that's a Thursday, to June 5th. 70 years on the throne, and being a loyalist town, St. Andrews is definitely doing its own celebration. You and I are both on the Queen's Jubilee, Platinum Jubilee committee, so there's a lot going on. Can you tell people a little bit about some of the events that are, some still taking shape right now, but obviously some solidified?
Absolutely. So if you just look at our street names, like you said, there is a deep tie to the royal family with this community. We could even talk about Princess Diana visiting here. I know Charles is here too, but Princess Diana. There's definitely deep ties, and I do feel like we are a great community to celebrate it. I haven't heard of a whole lot of initiatives across the province, to be completely honest, so it did feel like a great opportunity for us. And from a Kingsbury perspective, that was always the weekend that we did Outrageous Festival, and we really wanted to mix that up a little bit. We felt like it ran its course, and this seems like for this year the appropriate thing to celebrate. So a lot of great activity. In particular, I'm looking forward to the dinner at Drewhaven. Lieutenant Governor is expected to be in town for. The town itself is planting 70 trees over a 1-year period for the 70th I guess you could say anniversary of the Jubilee, and the last one will be planted on the Saturday at Centennial Park at 9 a.m. To celebrate 70 trees. So look for new trees throughout the community. There's great events though. There's a British pub crawl on the Friday night at the Cure Amphitheater. The Sistema Children's Orchestra is performing Saturday at 2 o'clock. entrance by donation, and the list goes on of exciting things. It's great to check out. There is a Facebook group, I believe, created, so I'd encourage people to look for updates because not all the activities are even uploaded there. There's an afternoon tea at the Algonquin Resort coming up. There's lots of activity. It's a great weekend to celebrate, and for us it's still early. We have Paddle Fest, obviously the town-wide yard sale is even a major attraction, but early on the season it's what really kicks us up and gets us vibrant, and it really helps the shops have that off-season kind of busy before peak season.
And I will give a shout out to an event that was just added. It's 2 fascinator making workshops, because one of the Algonquin teas, the Saturday tea, there'll be a fascinator best in show contest, I guess. So $10 at the Wee Fabric Shop there too on the Thursday, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening, to make your own beautiful, what you imagine at the horse races. So I will be attending both, so I can have wardrobe change.
That's probably the debut of the information of that. That's good. A break for anyone watching.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the youth orchestra at Kira. Another event coming to Kira that I'm very excited about is June 11th. It's a drag show, and a lot of the benefiting Charlotte County Pride, which could be the start of something that we do locally in St. Andrews for Pride. Pride's obviously a summer event that happens worldwide, and depending on what city or town you're in, everyone usually picks a different weekend. But June 11th at Kira, we just had Norman Hector, who's one of the headliners of the show here at the station, for another episode of Southwest Magazine, talking about the show and just his life as a performer. But super exciting that it's coming to Kira. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So what we want to do at Kingsbury Kira is recognize it's Pride Month, the month of June. So we wanted to have some type of celebration, and to do the drag show. It's exciting. And if you look at the Pride community in St. Andrews, is we have a number of members of our community that identify themselves in the LGBTQ plus community. And I think it's a great initiative to really, as a community, celebrate that. I know the BIA, so the Business Improvement Association of St. Andrews, has done a great job of actually putting Pride flags out in the downtown and really making this a safe and inclusive community. But with that being said, is we always have opportunities to improve. We just passed a motion at council to proclaim a day against homophobia. Like there's always things we can do. So to make this a more inclusive community and celebrate it, we put the flags up. But to actually have an event where we can celebrate it, I think it's due, and I think it's the appropriate thing for us to do. So I'm looking forward to it. I've been to events like this. I haven't been to this particular show. I'm looking forward to see it, and it's going to have a local flair as well. I guess this is the first publicly I've said this is they take a recess, a 20-minute recess in the show, and a local Lee Wells, who many people know, he'll be doing a number as part of the intermission. So there'll be local entertainment as part of it, and we just encourage everybody to come have a good time. And part of the proceeds does go to Charlotte County Pride, so it's going to be a very Charlotte County flair to it. So
Wonderful.
Looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm excited to find out if I've seen Lee as Julia Childs, but I know he also does Mrs. Doubtfire.
I'm thinking Mrs. Doubtfire might make an appearance, but we'll see. Lee is quite a character. So and he's a good friend at Kingsbury as well. And of course, if you tell Lee that it's for a certain cause, whatever it is, I know he's done personally a lot for Charlotte County Cancer. I believe he raised a pile of money a few years ago. There's always little causes that he's helping out with, so I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Me too. Yeah. I should mention for that, it's $20 for adults, 12 for
correct.
Seniors, or 12 for
seniors and students.
And then kids under 6, and so all ages show are free, and it does benefit Charlotte County Pride. And on that note, Lee, I should say he's on our Platinum Jubilee Committee, and the dinner at Drew Haven, that's the Saturday night, is a benefit for Ukraine. So you're right about that. He does find all the causes that matter. And
him and Andy Foss is
on the note of events, we have Canada Day coming back in a big way this year, and I know famously this is something St. Andrews does well. It draws people from not just all over the province, but all over Canada. And some U.S. visitors who just like to celebrate Canada Day get started before their 4th of July celebrations. Can you tell us what's in store this year and how it's sort of resuming to what it's known for?
Yeah, so you never want to take for granted that St. Andrews is a great spot to celebrate Canada Day. Like a couple years off with limited activity due to the pandemic mainly. You know, you don't want to assume that you're going to be one of the great places in the province to celebrate. So it's important to do it well. But really what this theme is, and I think it's going to be a theme of a lot of festivals and events, is let's not make it any bigger. Let's just go back to what we did before and make sure that our operational plans are successful. So it's going to look very much like it did pre-pandemic. The parade is going to happen, which I'm excited for. Fireworks, that's exciting. And then just a bunch of different activity throughout the community that we always have, the great smaller events that everyone loves. First time I've said this as well, Kira is going to have a 4 p.m. concert, and Jimmy Rankin is going to be returning back to St. Andrews. He was the performer pre-pandemic. We thought we would turn it back. People are up dancing, having a great time. We thought it would be great to bring him back and celebrate Canada Day in St. Andrews. So Jimmy Rankin will be in St. Andrews for Canada Day as well. So
wonderful.
Another new announcement off the show.
Nice.
This is a breaking show now.
Breaking news show, Charlotte County. And the gardening club would be upset with me if I didn't mention, and here comes your best friend, Maud.
It would not be a show with a new haircut. With a new haircut.
Heard we were talking about yards.
I won't make fun of your hair because you can make fun of mine, right? Yeah.
Ma's ready for summer, and she's ready for me to ask you about the grub situation, which I know is province-wide right now. There's obviously some issues over in the Blockhouse area with I guess it's the crows feeding off of grubs that are causing this issue, and in people's yards too, but the town must be underway in trying to figure out how to handle it.
Yeah, I remember I brought this up at a council meeting like 3 years ago, like what could be done, because it's been a number of years. Like I know some people in the community, I won't say their name, but their front lawn, like completely gone. Like you drive by, it's just turf. It's just upside down turf. And it is crows, it's skunks, they'll dig for grubs. From my understanding, not that I'm an expert in grubs, but they do cycle, so you could expect like every 3 years a cycle to come through. And kind of my understanding is as the grub feeds on the grass, it turns like a little bit brown off color, and that is like a target for skunks and crows to know that grubs are there. You are really part of this show today. And anyway, they flip the turf over, so there is some things that you can do. Sometimes they're not immediate, but like nematodes or something you can spray that actually combat the grubs. So I see a lot of people doing that. But it's got to be frustrating because I know of some lawns that have been ripped up. The owner has replaced the lawn and now it's being ripped up a second time. It's got to be discouraging. There's not an easy fix in the province right now that I'm aware of. But I feel for the residents of St. Andrews, especially because between the deer eating anything you plant and now the crows and skunks digging up your lawn, it is getting harder and harder to make your property look like you'd want it to look. So I had the same problem last year. I put pie plates with steaks on my lawn. It looked ridiculous, but it was actually fairly effective. I've tried cayenne pepper because apparently it's a hot and spicy. I've tried everything myself. My front lawn had minimal damage, but I'm every spring you're just nervous that are they going to start ripping up my lawn? But I maybe I'm good for 3 years because of the cycle now, but they got to figure it out because it is. I don't remember this growing up being a problem, so it's definitely a new challenge that we haven't had before.
All right. Well, if it's the price we have to pay for summer, I will take it. I'm going to pivot ungracefully right now to a topic of amalgamation. All the different entities that still need to be named have a facilitator to make this process a little easier. Can you tell us where we're at? This is coming soon. It is November that we should expect these changes, and St. Andrews obviously not being overly affected. We're getting Shamcook and Bayside, but it still is. Maud says it's still quite a challenge. She's running for council, as you can see. She's practicing.
Shoe in. No one will run against. So as it relates to St. Andrews, we have a facilitator. His name is Don Fitzgerald, and he's been doing a wonderful job. We've been meeting with LSD representatives from Bayside and Shamcook, and we've been meeting regularly. We've tackled some of our challenges in other communities that have been probably a little bit more controversial. If you live in St. George and Black's Harbour, I'll use that as that. What do you name yourself? I know, what is it, Grand Bay Westfield, the hyphen, just decided to keep it.
Yep.
They didn't encourage hyphen. Ours is very easy. the LSDs actually spoke first, and they said we should be called St. Andrews. But the first thing I said is I agree, but how do we keep the unique perspective of Shamcook and Bayside? Shamcook Mountain will always be in Shamcook in my mind, and I don't think we ever wanted any way different. So what we decided is usually wards are called 1, 2, 3. So we actually have a Shamcook ward. We actually have the wards named after Shamcook Bayside. It was easy for us on the local entity level. So St. Andrews, it's been so far, knock on wood, a fairly easy process. There's a lot of unknowns still. There's some concerns I have about the budget is actually passed by the facilitator versus the elected town council, and they're working on it now, like in the upcoming month. How do you work on a budget when you don't even know what everyone's assessment base is? You don't know how much money you have. How do you properly set a budget? Like there's some concerns, but my bigger concerns is actually on the regional level. So the regional, the RSC, so the Regional Service Commission, is getting more responsibility, like economic development, tourism, social type of particular committees, things like that. They're definitely going to have a more active role in St. Andrews, transportation. But the problem I have with it is, as mayor and as a council, we've had zero engagement in any of that process to date. And it's been long enough. We've been knocking on the door. We haven't been getting any answers. There's a document that comes out to talk about their mandate. And, there's hints at taxation to our residents. And we've had no opportunity yet to have any engagement. So I'm seriously concerned on a regional level at how it's being rolled out, to the point where I could actually say publicly that I'm starting to find it very frustrating. I think if you're going to make change, I'm not here to say that we don't want change. I'm not here to say status quo. All I'm saying is let us contribute, let us give input, because right now there's been none. And I went to a lot of the hearings leading up to a lot of the consultation, and all of it was about LSDs versus municipalities. There was not any consultation whatsoever about services at a regional level. So right now, as mayor of the town of St. Andrews, I've had zero engagement on anything to do on a regional model, and that's concerning.
Wow. And then what's the feeling on council? Is everyone content to stay in their positions and add in new representatives from Bayside Shamcook?
That's a great question. So we are one of the rare municipalities. I think there's only 13 mayors in New Brunswick that get to stay as mayor. I'm one of them. I have mixed feelings on that. With that being said, I do understand that it's a smaller population change than it is in other areas, but in the same sense, the people of Shamcook and Bayside never got to vote for me. They never got to run against me, so now I'm their voice. I have a hard time, and I'm struggling with that. With that being said, is I do see the big picture. I do see concerns from the LSDs. I think that it's important to have someone to help facilitate that, because at the end of the day, that's what a mayor is. The mayor doesn't vote. The mayor shouldn't enter debate, as minimal as possible. The mayor is a facilitator to get consensus. So having someone that has experience, I've been on council now 5 years, there's some blessings of that, but I am struggling with that. On a council level, it's easier because the councilors were elected. They're a ward. They're the same people that voted them in would be the same people that would vote them if they re-ran. People in Bayside will vote for their Bayside representative. So for them, it's very easy. The indication from every councilor that I've had is that they continue to run. I do fully anticipate that in some other areas that have to do an election, that a lot of current councilors will not re-offer. We don't have that challenge, and I'm really great. And we are welcoming the 3 new members. We're looking forward, new people, new ideas. There's going to be a lot of things we have to figure out on bylaws and things like that. I'm hoping that for the resident of Shamcook Bayside, that everything remains the same as it is today. You can have variable tax rates, but we need representation from them. The only concern I have is every councillor on a motion can talk up to 10 minutes. If you have 9 councillors, in theory, one round around could be 90 minutes on one motion. 9 councillors for a community as small as St. Andrews, Shamcook Bayside would be, that is a lot. Yeah. So that's going to be hard to overcome. You don't want to shut people down when they're speaking, but that's a lot of different people that are going to contribute on every motion. So we're really going to have to streamline our process a little bit more to get through our agendas, because we're already constantly 2.5 hours. Before last year I was like 3.5. We're down an hour, but 2.5 still long. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll have more of an update next time, and I'll get to talk to you a little bit about housing next month. We didn't touch on it today, but there was obviously a lot to talk about. So thank you for being here.
Well,
Brad.
yeah, we'll just have Maud out here from the beginning next time.
She'll do the interview. My guest today has been Brad Henderson, Mayor of the Town of St. Andrews. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Your Town Matters.